The mission of Advertisers Media is to rate all the news for reliability and bias to transform society. And folks might not quite realize what the relationship is between rating all the news and positively transforming society. But news, fundamentally, we all deal with it. And we've got a very noisy news landscape. So people wonder about how to fix it. We have so much misleading and false information, and stuff is very, very polarizing. What can we do? And it's never just one thing. A multi-layered, complex problem has to have multi-layered, complex solutions. So it's news consumers, educators, advertisers, publishers, social media platforms, researchers. There's all these stakeholders in that system. Fundamentally, what they all need in order to start doing their part is ratings on the reliability and bias of news.
So with the ability to rate and advise advertisers and the public, educators as well, on the qualities of news organizations, what's the state of brand safety, which has been such a big issue the past few years and has made, in a lot of ways, advertisers allergic to advertising on news? Where are we right now?
It has been a really big problem over the last 10 years, but the pendulum is swinging back, and I'm really glad to see that. I mean, it's not just me and like wishful thinking about advertisers getting back to news, but folks are realizing the performance of the channel. They're getting back to the basic fundamental truths about it, which is that there's audiences with unduplicated reach that you can't reach anywhere else, that the characteristics of those audiences are really desirable to a lot of advertisers. And there are tools now to help advertisers identify the really performative stuff in news, high quality, meaning highly reliable, minimally biased, and you can avoid the things here and there that may cause issues. Like the technology is there to do that. So the leading edge, like the smartest marketers are in tune with that conversation. It's not so much about brand safety, it's about the opportunity. Like the brand safety is pretty much solved. If you get back into news the right way, then you can take advantage of the performance aspects of it.
So do you see yourself as kind of a diplomat between news organizations and advertisers who maybe are, again, still maybe a little skittish, maybe not as skittish as before? How do you see your role?
Yeah, definitely. We sort of sit in this middle ground where we're a third-party evaluator of news publishers for those specific measures. Those are really the most important measures of news, because when you think about it, it's hard to conceptually, we all think, oh, I know what news is. And then you think about a couple of like really large publishers or your local news. But in practice, identifying what's news versus news adjacent, like the entertainment news and the sports news and the finance news, is also news. But there's other things that are a little bit further removed from that. And then once you're in that environment that you would be comfortable calling news, then there's the stuff that's political opinion, and worse than that, there's quite a bit of dehumanizing, vilifying, really detrimental content out there. And it's on the format. It really varies. It can be print or any kind of text format, even a newsletter. There's TV and video, there's YouTube, there's short form on social media, there's audio, there's all these formats, and some of them are still news. So we help identify, what we found is the more reliable and the less biased content is about current topics, the more everyone agrees that that's news. And that's what we help folks identify.
So how do you, and let me know if this is not an issue, do advertisers misunderstand the value that news provides them in terms of the audiences, in terms of the quality of the audiences?
I think so. I mean, some do and some don't. And some folks think, well, I can just reach these audiences anywhere because there's this great audience data that's really come so far in the last couple decades. And it doesn't matter what kind of surface I reach them on as long as I get that audience member. But there are studies, I mean, Stagwell has done some great work on the Future of News study It shows 14% of consumers are self-identified news junkies, meaning you literally cannot reach them on other platforms. And that's a big chunk of the population. I mean, there's way more that are news junkies plus a handful of other platforms, but there's only so many places where people can go to get informed about the events that are happening in the day. So there are some advertisers that don't quite get that, but they're coming around.
Is the idea that we're in an age of attention, an age of relevance? There's a lot of ages floating around right now. How does that relate to, again, the importance of attention, particularly? How does that relate to where advertisers are looking to put their money right now, and how does it tie back to news, maybe?
Well, that's an interesting question about attention. News is this, people have referred to it as this premium environment for such a long time because it's sort of the typical adages that you hear about premium content. Audiences are engaged, audiences are linked in, and it sounds trite, but you're consuming that content on purpose. It's not just a mindless scroll, or just like the algorithm just plopped whatever else in front of you, or you have something that you're watching on TV and just kind of half-heartedly watching it. You have it in the background. When you're reading a news article, it's because you care about knowing that thing that's there. So I think every kind of metric that's related to attention or engagement, it finds a positive correlation in news environments. I mean, you'll hear it from every kind of technology vendor that even like remotely intersects with news.
Vanessa, you recently released a case study, I've heard, and was hoping you could tell me, was there anything that maybe surprised you or jumped out at you from the study?
It wasn't surprising because it was, we had theorized this for a long time, but actually getting advertisers, a particular advertiser, to go from not advertising in news for over 8 years to making the leap to say, okay, we're going to get back into this channel. It was really gratifying, is what I'll say. So they were very sensitive to complaints about any kind of political bias and had all the sort of standard brand safety concerns, like I don't want to show up next to this content or that content. And but they realized that the data was there, it was supported, so they went and made a leap and worked hand in hand with their agency and activated a fairly big budget against a news-only campaign. And that's thousands of high quality national, international, local news sites. And compared to the other metrics and their standards for other campaigns, they're really impressed with the results in terms of lower CPMs across the board and much lower cost per acquisition for the user. So it's a combination of the attentiveness and the lower price. And what was most impressive was they leaned in about the brand safety aspect of it. They still use their brand safety vendors, but they removed 7 out of the 10 category blocks that they typically would use on a campaign. And it still came back with a 99% brand safety score. So it shows that you can invest in news, it can have it be brand safe, and you can get the kind of results. So no matter what the kind of KPIs, and we've seen this across verticals, across other types of KPIs that are important to measure, same things over and over.